Here's Tina Smith. Understand what this is. If Kash Patel and Donald Trump don't like a judge, they think they can arrest them. This is stunning. Yep. We must stand up to this blatant power grab. Republicans, how is not a red line for you? I will not be swayed by psychopathic, evil narcissists who have been gutting and burning this country to the ground, because now we have actual accountability. But you know what? The important thing is, there's no, the important thing to understand, I should say, there is no off-ramp. Democrats literally set fire to the Constitution. Well, I should say figuratively is how I was using the word literally. Set fire to the Constitution to steal power in this country and lost. And we have to bring about accountability to these people or we are doomed. But you know what? It doesn't matter, because Democrats are going to say, no matter what you do, you're Hitler. And stupid people are going to believe it. So welcome to the highway with no off-ramps. All we can do is pedal to the metal, baby.
The off-ramp thing is interesting because it feels like a chrysalis, like we're in the cocoon emerging now into this new creature as the United States. And I don't know, Josie, you're basically a constitutional expert. Do you think that this metamorphosis can sustain?
Well, what I'm worried about is the way that people are interpreting the arrest of judges, because the talking point is he's arresting judges now, because they put him off as being a tyrant. So now they have to prove that he's a tyrant. So just talking to the normal people, saying he's arresting judges now. Who do they hear about judges and Trump? They're hearing about the federal judges who are pushing back and impeding on his executive power, essentially. So they're not thinking that it's judges who are harboring criminals, because that sounds like that's crazy. That's Alex Jones level crazy to them. Like, no, there's no judges harboring criminal aliens. That's not happening. So they're assuming that the judges that are being arrested are the ones who are pushing back against Trump. Those are the ones. It's the federal judges who are pushing back against Trump, and he's throwing them in jail. They don't know that they're aiding and abetting, because this is not the stuff being reported.
No, but they're right. Mm-hmm. This judge was pushing back against Trump, trying to create this world that is lawless that Democrats want to live in. So let's put it this way. Shout out to Michael Malice, because he said recently, I love how all these Republicans become anarchists the moment, like Trump should defy the courts because, right, whoever can enforce the law has the power to do so. There are a bunch of laws on the books that we never enforce. Democrats, in their world, we do not enforce deportations. So when you got that law in Florida that says women can't skydive on Sunday, I think that's not really true, but that's the idea. We look at that like, well, that's stupid. Women can skydive whenever they want. So we don't enforce that. No cop's going to arrest a woman for skydiving. Democrats are going, yeah, that's ridiculous. We're not going to arrest a guy because he's not registered and not a citizen. He lives here. He's a Maryland man. So when Trump says we're going to arrest him, to them, imagine a cop arresting a woman for skydiving on a Sunday, and that's how they view what Trump is doing. So that judge is doing the legal thing by letting that illegal immigrant escape, because we don't enforce those laws. This is what I'm talking about when I say there's a moral bifurcation in this country, and there is no way to remedy this, and it's a collision course. So how about we try the time travel test once again, so I can rub this in the faces of the naysayers over and over and over again. Go back in time 10 years and describe everything we've seen so far. Well, what's going to happen is Trump's going to get elected president. They're going to accuse him of being a Soviet spy. No, not a Russian spy, a Soviet spy. On MSNBC, they'll say he's been working for the Soviets since the 80s. Then they're going to impeach him. They're going to imprison one of his campaign manager. They're going to then arrest several of his lower staff, accuse his national security advisor of lying to the FBI to try and put him in jail. They will arrest Steve Bannon, Peter Navarro. Then you're going to get the worst lockdowns we've ever seen in 50 years, total pandemic lockdowns, the worst riots we've seen in 50 years. 1,000 people are going to storm into the Capitol and disrupt the electoral vote count. And now we get to, also, they're going to arrest Trump's lawyer. They're going to arrest Trump himself. They're going to fabricate new laws specifically to go after Donald Trump. Notably on the E. Jean Carroll case, they made a new law in New York just so she could sue him. They will falsely accuse him of 34 felonies, which don't exist and have no underlying crime. They'll falsely accuse him of civil fraud. And then Trump's going to win anyway. And his FBI director will start arresting judges.
That's the white pill. If you gave me the time travel test 10 years ago, that he got elected a second time, even despite all that stuff, I'd be like, we have some power as American citizens.
You'd say you're a psychopath and none of that is possible.
Well, not me. I was into it, but other people mostly.
Okay, accepted.
Yeah.
Ian would be like, yeah. They'd be like
been talking about
machine elves would come too.
Because they kept saying the fall of the American empire is imminent. This is just the way it manifested.
ultimately, my point
More of
is
an alteration than a fall.
every time we do this, imagine going back in time and telling people what happened today. Imagine going back 10 years and saying, oh, yeah, when Trump wins his second term, a non-consecutive term, by the way, after they accuse him of being a Russian spy for 10 years, his new FBI is going to start arresting Democrat and liberal judges for aiding and abetting terrorist organizations and criminal cartels and narco gangs, illegal immigrants. People are going to be like, what? That's insane. That'll never happen.
You called this like a moral dilemma. That's what I feel like this is, because it's so much like the Nazi Germany thing with the Jews, the way they were the way they were treating these people as second-class citizens. It's easy for people to fall into that state of mind and just blanket. They already called Trump Hitler for 5 years. So it's really about, I think, gently nudging people's morality towards understanding the danger of mass immigration, mass
This is the
migration.
play. The play is, if they defeat Donald Trump, they will have gaslit America and created a new history. That you have undocumented Americans and you have documented Americans. What they're trying to do now is Hitlerize Trump so that if Trump is defeated and crushed, they're going to say, never again will we allow our citizens, our undocumented citizens, to be oppressed and rounded up like this. This is how their plan is to create a system by which in the United States you have undocumented and documented citizens. They've already tried using that terminology. They pulled back a little bit. I believe Hassan Piker on his stream was referring to them as undocumented citizens. That is they tried this. So the goal is we will lie about whatever Trump does. We will make it seem like what he is doing is rounding up the Jews. And then we will argue to all Americans who think it's bad, we can never do this again, which means no more deportations ever.
The Alex Jones has obviously InfoWars, and I've been critical of the name InfoWars, even like culture war. I'm like, why manifest war? But the reality is this information manipulation is a form of psychological warfare. And people have been using these, what do you want to call it, corporate media, MSNBC, these high-powered fire hoses of data transfer to brainwash people since the inception of the technology, but especially since the advance of the internet. And now there's all these other people delivering knowledge as well. So it is a battle, I guess you could say, of the mind.
Would you say it's information warfare? Yeah,
I think so. Like, I don't want to soften warfare. I don't want to soften the term, but it's definitely like information
civil conflict.
Yeah, what?
When it comes to citizens, how they keep saying citizens, written in the amendments, the 16th, 19th, 24th, and 26th, it says it has the citizens' right to vote in these ways. Those are the voting amendments. So if you want to think of who was ever supposed to vote, it was always meant to be citizens as soon as they involved the federal government.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.